we don't know. But they're generally don't do that town to town decision. They do that across their footprint. You know, their advertising that they're doing today is probably not going to change. I don't see them putting a lot of resources into targeting a town the size of Vinton. And I mean, I live in the Des Moines metro area, and I get 3 things a week from MediaCom. It doesn't mean they're targeting Grimes, Iowa. It just means they got a lot of money to spend on marketing, and they can bury you with recyclables if they want to. I have seen no evidence in any of the communities that I've worked with, including my time in Spencer, where, believe you me, we had a giant target on our back for the first 5 years. I've seen zero evidence that those campaigns are effective for more than a very short term.
And Mike, I don't mean to prolong the meeting, and I'm sorry if I am, but there are a couple of bits of information that I think are key here. One is, before the vote, I met with Lee Grassley, who is the liaison for MediaCom in the state of Iowa, mostly with governmental stuff. And with him was their senior engineer. And so, of course, they were trying to encourage me not to continue with this process. But in the meeting, they said that if they could get rid of residential service, they would do it. Because they're not making a whole lot of money on the residential service in a small town. Because their infrastructure is in bad shape. Okay? So there's one element. The other is, someone shared some MediaCom information about how great they are. In Fortune magazine last year in June, MediaCom was 37th out of 37 cable companies that were reviewed by Fortune and something like Consumer Reports. So the combination of 2 things. One is they don't want to invest in a community the size of Vinton. It doesn't work to give a discount to your cash cow. They're no longer a cash cow. And finally, the issue really driving this is their reliability and customer service. So, is there a risk? You're absolutely right. Can we know for certain? No. And again, I'm sorry.
I heard today, I thought they were like #1 in the.
That was a trade publication that MediaCom supports rather heavily. So I'd trust Fortune over a cable company trade publication.
The American Customer Satisfaction Index is a report that's created every year by an independent nonprofit organization that basically goes into various consumer industries and measures people's overall satisfaction for the services that they have. The 2018 report on internet service providers, the lowest one on their ratings was MediaCom with a net rating of 53 out of 100. That's a 0 to 100 scale. So they were below Frontier, Windstream, CenturyLink, Cox, Xfinity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The top 2 providers on that list both are fiber to the home providers.
Community fiber to the home?
Not necessarily, no, because the community fiber to the homes aren't big enough to make this giant report. But it was Fios, which is Verizon. They do fiber to the home in some areas of this country, and AT&T has some fiber to the home in some areas of the country. Those were by far the highest on that ranking.
Okay, the last one in, Tom, you sent us this report on this CenturyLink fiber going through town. And you said, and you got locations, they could be placing extra fibers and to also eventually serve residential and business locations.
It's possible, they still have to get a permit through the city in order to serve anything that they want to.
But they are running fiber clear through town.
And when I talked about technology, I thought they were still a total way, which they had to upgrade. Use some longer infrastructure cables are longer back in fiber. And they look like they're gonna go north and south and go into the rural areas where there's nothing there. They might be getting money to do that rural infrastructure.
But they can, if they come through town, they could tap into it and start going to the house.
There's probably nothing stopping them unless their plans
There's nothing to stop anybody from coming to your community and doing this. The only thing stopping them is the economics. And whether it's CenturyLink or MediaCom or some other third party, the economics of their profit-driven businesses do not support them coming into a community like this and putting fiber to the home. The only economic model that supports that is exactly what you're talking about here, which is a community-owned network. No. There wouldn't be any subsidization at all available to build fiber to the home in Vinton by anybody, including CenturyLink.
If it was profitable, they'd have done it by now.
Yes, likely. If it was profitable, they'll start in the communities that are most profitable, the quickest return on their investment, and they will do those first. And by the time they got to Vinton, Iowa, you would have disappeared into a dust pile because everybody would have moved out because you've been waiting for them to do something.
So physically, what would they, besides the permitting part, they got fiber going through town now, buy a whole bunch of houses. What do they have to do infrastructure-wise to be able to tap into that? They have to go back to a hub someplace or other and then.
Probably, but they probably have to spend about $4 or $5 million to serve what the community, more of the community than that. They wouldn't do it for just the homes along a fiber optic route. If those fibers that are going in are indeed designed for long-haul data transfer, like from city to city or from a cell tower to a major hub, they do not use those fibers to serve individual customers along the way.
Unless they have spare, like Tom says. But again, physically, I don't understand. It's going past my house. Where do they, if they want to go fiber house, where would they come from? Do they have to go to the corner of C and 13?
I'm not sure.
Hub and come back, or they can't just.
They'd have to, they have,
into their.
you know, yeah, the only thing they could do with it really, if they were planning on using that few $1,000s of fiber they're putting in to make life better in Vinton, Iowa, about the only thing they could do is use that fiber to increase capacity to their DSL facilities. But it probably would still mean 99% chance mean it would still be that the end user would still be served by a copper wire, not a fiber wire, and would still be subjected to the limitations of that technology. So anyway, that's my report. Any other questions you have on that? In the interest of time, I'll hand it over to Todd then, and he can talk about how all this fits together into the financial model. And I do apologize, I'm gonna probably need to get on the road about 5:15. I'll stay as long as I can, but I'll be back Thursday.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
Ready?
Yep, do it.
Okay. So, kind of to walk through, my intention here today was just to introduce the concepts of what a financial model looks like, how we got here, and then you will have a couple days to digest the concept. So then we come back and talk more about the specifics on Thursday. That's kind of how my intention and impression how this is supposed to go. So just for the sake of the room, the process has been FAR did a feasibility study report that had a lot of assumptions in it. As Curtis said, the take rate was kind of a back into number for them, but that has since been